Hello, Mr. Wright here. Wanted to share with you a tutorial on lesson 1 for the bass clef instruments like trombone, baritone, tuba, string bass, timpani, those types of low bass instruments. So let's start off here with the staff lines, as you see right there. There's 5 of them. Let's come down here to where the lines are a little bit more spread apart so we can see what we're doing. And we will be placing notes on these lines and on these spaces in between the lines, in other words. And so we start off here on this these staff lines with this little thing right here that used to be shaped more like a cursive F. See those 2 little dots? Those used to be the 2 little prongs from the letter F there. But they encircle the F line. So that means that this note on that F line is an F. And so this is our bass clef. It used to be called the F clef, but now it's called the bass clef. And after that, we see this 4/4 time signature. And it's not a fraction. It's something peculiar to music called a time signature. The top number tells us how many beats are in a measure. So the top number tells us there's 4 beats in every single measure in this exercise right here, or the piece that we'll be playing. This bottom number tells us what type of note gets the beat. Is it so in this instance, we're going to take this 4 and divide it into this whole complete note. And we're going to cut it into 4 parts or 4 quarters. We're going to get quarter notes. So the quarter note is the type of note that will get the beat. So we have 4 beats to the measure, and the quarter note will receive the beat. And I call this a whole complete note. I want you to look, it sort of looks like a whole, doesn't it? Like H-O-L-E, but it's a whole complete note by which we shall measure all the other note values. So this whole note takes up this whole measure in this time signature. So from the beginning all the way to this little line right there is the first measure, a measurement of time in music. So that's the first measure. And from this little bar line, it's actually called a bar line, to this bar line is the second measure. So this little box is the first measure. This next little room or this little box is the second measure. We have a whole note taking up the whole measure. And now this little dash right there hanging from the second line is called a whole note rest. Notice that it takes up the whole measure also. So this is a whole note rest. Now this, because of every measure gets 4 beats, right? And the quarter note gets the beat. Well, this, just trust me that this whole note is going to get 4 beats in this time signature. So 4 beats of sound. This whole note rest is going to get 4 beats of silence. So the way you would perform this is da, rest, 2, 3, 4. Da, rest, 2, 3, 4. It kind of goes back and forth. All right. And at the end, we have this final bar. Sometimes you'll see just a double bar, 2 thin lines together, which means it's the beginning of a new section of the music or a new section of the exercise. But this final bar lets us know, see that very thick bar right there, lets us know this is the final bar. The exercise or the piece of music we're playing is coming to a close. All right. Let's drop down here. Exercise number 2, we have that whole note again. And of course, it lasts for 4 beats, like I said, 4 beats of sound, then the whole note getting 4 beats of silence. And it's going back and forth. And what if we take that whole note and cut it into 2 halves? What we have then is half notes. It was a whole. It looks like just a round circle. Same thing here, except we have this stem pointing down. Now, if this circle part right here, the note head was down lower in the staff, the stem would be pointing up. And the reason why, so we wouldn't have, to make it look neater, you don't want stems just sticking out of your staff everywhere. So they want most of the stem to be enclosed in the staff to keep things neat, and so it's not taking up too much room. So, but these are half notes. They're open on the inside, and they have a little stem, and they receive 2 beats apiece because they're half as long as this whole note. It's like basic fractions here. So 2 beats apiece. So you go da, 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 and lo and behold, here's another dash, but it looks different. This one was hanging from the second line from the top. This one's sitting on the middle line on top of it. Slightly different. You're saying, and this is a half note rest. It only receives 2 beats of silence. You might be thinking, how am I going to remember which one is which? They look so similar. They're just a little bit off from each other. Well, guess what? You don't have to remember, because a whole note takes up a whole measure. You just glance at the measure, you see one little dash there. Oh, must be a whole note rest because it's taking up the whole measure. If you see it only taking up half the measure, go figure. Must be a half note rest. So that's the way I remember it. You can remember where it's at if you want to, but you know. So these half notes, we go ta, 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 rest, rest. And you got to count those 2 beats of rest in your mind. You don't want to just randomly come back in here, because if you're playing with other people, you might come in early or late. So you got to keep track of where you are in time. And then what if we cut this whole note into 4 parts or 4 quarters? You get 4 quarter notes. Notice that the circle part is now encased. It's all filled in, and it's still got that stem. So these are quarter notes, and they only receive 1 beat apiece, just like that. Da, 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 da. And these are quarter note rests, these little squiggly things. They kind of look like someone's hand, like an outline of someone's hand going, shh, That's one way of thinking of it. So quarter note rest, these quarter notes receive 1 beat, quarter note rest, 1 beat of silence. So ta, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, ta, 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 ta. It goes back and forth in this exercise, okay? So you see how that works now. Now, before I go, there's something that you need to understand when you work together as musicians to try to create music in an ensemble, a group of people. You have to understand the gestures of a conductor. If you have a conductor, sometimes groups don't have a conductor, but a lot of bands and orchestras and sometimes choirs and different groups like that, they'll have a conductor. Why? So that the attacks, when you come in on a note and when you stop notes, is right, precise together. And also you may want to speed up or slow down. You may want to get louder and softer. And if you have someone that's really kind of guiding the expressive flow of what's taking place, everything can be done in unison. It makes it much more powerful as an experience for people listening and the people playing and singing. So this conducting pattern, notice it goes down, 2, 3, 4, down, 2, 3, 4. So if you see a conductor, I should have grabbed my baton, sorry, but let's pretend this is a baton. And from the tip of the baton to my elbow, it's going to be straight. I want to have it parallel to the floor. I'm going to kind of hold it up a little bit so that you can see it. I'm not sure exactly what you could see, but you'd see the conductor going down to left, right, up, beat 1, 2, 3, 4. They're showing you exactly in any given measure. This is beat 1, 2, 3, 4. Beat 1. It's the next measure. If you get lost in that measure, here's the next measure. 2, 3. Next measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. And other gestures that a conductor might use are get louder, which means crescendo. It's an Italian word for get louder, or decrescendo, to get softer. They might give you a cutoff, or they'll get ready to conduct and they'll go pow. All right, there's that. It's called an ictus. Pow. That little instant when they give that pop to the next downbeat also gives you the tempo at which they will be conducting from then on out. So a conductor can bring so much precision and so much expression to a group. And if you learn how to conduct, you will understand what they're telling you. There may be times when you need to conduct. Sometimes a conductor gets sick and they need somebody to fill in. And hey, me. So you need to be able to know what you're doing. But again, if you understand how to conduct, you'll understand the gestures of a conductor. You'll be able to read their language that they're speaking to you. So, and you also want to be able to always see the conductor, because if you can't see the conductor, say there's something between you and them, then you are dangerous, very dangerous to the group. You don't want to be dangerous. You want to be a help. Like if, for instance, everybody comes in right with a conductor and you come in a little bit early or a little bit late, not good. So you want to come in right with it. You always want to be able to see the conductor. You don't want to be dangerous. You want to be helpful and to add to the musical experience. So make sure you can see. And if you're conducting from your point, it'll be down to left, right, up, down to left, right, up. And of course, you can practice doing both down, left, crescendo, decrescendo, like that, and the cutoffs. So work on that so that you can understand what the conductor's doing. And sometimes a conductor may say, hey, let's slow this section down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And it just, the whole group can move together. Very, very powerful. So make sure you learn how to conduct, and you'll enjoy the experience. You'll understand what's going on so much more. And so hopefully this completely explains lesson 1 to you from the Wright band method, and I hope you enjoy it.